In film and television, it's become increasingly a trend to become more diverse with the points of views, or I guess the demographics of characters that are presented. That especially applies to Disney, which I think is kind of funny, knowing the fact that old Disney was extremely racist.
Whoa, is that blackface?
So I think it's a little entertaining to think that, Walt Disney was just like I think he was a Nazi, and nowadays his company is ran by a bunch of Jews making making TV shows about Latinx or whatever. Now that's not to say that that's a bad thing, because personally I think if you're going to tell diverse stories, it's okay as long as those stories are good. You don't have to perfectly encapsulate my own experiences for a piece of media to be good, but that piece of media has to not suck shit for me to, be fine with it. And Disney has recently kind of dropped the ball with their newest show, Hoy Primos. I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know how to pronounce the name of the show. Little disclaimer before I get any deeper into the subject. This might come as a shock to you, but I am incredibly white. I at least to my knowledge, I have zero Hispanic heritage, so I am not an authority when it comes to most of the things that I'm going to be talking about in this video. But still, I have a lot of thoughts about it, and I just wanted to share it. In general, I don't watch products made by Disney because I don't like Disney very much, but still, I just thought I just had a lot going through my head when it came to this one specific show. So the show stars this Latinx girl and her family who live in California, because obviously you can't show any human experiences unless it comes from California. So this show has gained a lot of controversy, especially on Twitter, because obviously, and you might be a little surprised just from my brief description of the show. There's so many ants on my phone right now. Get the fuck off my phone. The show kind of seems non-controversial, pretty vanilla, but there's been quite a bit of controversy surrounding it. Now, one of the most talked about parts is that the name of the show is grammatically incorrect. Now, personally, my heritage is mostly like British-Irish, so I couldn't give less of a shit that the name of the show isn't grammatically correct by the standards of Spanish, although I understand why people would be angry about it, because, they're making a show which the creators have said that they want to represent Mexican Americans, and, not using the language correct of the people that you're trying to represent can be kind of offensive, so I can understand why that would be controversial, although, personally, the part of the show that that I dislike the most is the fucking character design. This is some of the ugliest shit I've ever seen. Like, unironically, what the fuck is this? What is this? This is so unappealing, it looks like a fucking racist caricature. It is so bad. I have no idea how they designed this and decided that we should put this in a TV show. I understand cartoons can be ugly sometimes. I have no problems with making cartoons ugly. But this is just the worst looking shit I've ever seen. And not even in like a funny way. This is just terrible. This makes me want to bleach my fucking eyeballs. It's terrible. Terrible. Terrible looking. This is supposed to be representative of Mexicans. And, when you're trying to represent a specific demographic of people, it's, I think generally it'd be positive not to make them look like, subhumans. They look like they have fucking fetal alcohol syndrome or something. It's so bad. It's terrible. It's terrible. And it's not like they have to be like unrealistic supermodels. I don't want them to be fucking waifus, alright? They're children. It's like, I'm not asking for that. But like, at least make the fucking designs appealing. Don't make them ugly. That's all I'm asking for. I want animation to look appealing, all right? You know, if I wanted to look at a bunch of ugly people, I would just watch a show with real individuals, you know? Like, I'm watching a fucking cartoon. Don't want to see some ugly ass shit. That's all I'm asking for, guys. Please. Now, away from the show itself, which really, I don't have much to say about it, because from what I've seen, it looks extremely, like the most mediocre shit I've ever seen. But I'm going to talk about the creator for a second. And she, in response to the controversy over the title not being grammatically correct, she decided to release a video in response. And I have to tell you guys, if you have a, easy to upset stomach, I'd recommend you stop watching right now, because this might be the most California video I've ever seen in my entire life.
The Spanish language is not a Latin American language. It's a language the Spanish conquistadors forced upon Latin American people. The only reason we're Latin people and not Native American people is because of that distinction. So be mad at me all you want for misspelling words in Spanish. Be mad at me all you want for mispronouncing words in Spanish. That doesn't take away from the fact that I am a Mexican-American, Native American woman. We're trying to make a good show for kids that feel left out, for kids that are different, for kids who don't have a full grasp on any language, no matter where they live. And if you're going to be mad at that, I don't know. Be mad then.
I'm sorry, lady, but you are not a Native American. I can say this, with some form of authority as someone who has partial Native American heritage myself, but you are not a Native American. You will never be a real Native American. Mexicans are not Native Americans, and Mexicans will never be Native Americans. You will never be a real Indian. And I say that 100%, 1,000%. I fucking mean it, okay? This is something that you see a lot of, fucking left-wing, leftist Mexican Americans say, that, Mexicans are Native Americans. Mexicans are not fucking Native Americans. Stop saying this. I'm sorry, but literally look up what percentage of Native American, Mexicans are, and you're gonna be BTFO'd, okay? The average Mexican is 60% white and 30% Fuck, I keep mixing up Mexican and Native American. 60%, god damn it, 60% white and 30% Native American. Does that sound like someone who's an Indian? No, it fucking doesn't. You are closer to a Spaniard than a fucking Cherokee. So stop saying this shit. You are not an Indian. You are not a Native American. Stop fucking saying this, okay? It annoys me because this person clearly doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, and they're acting like they're a Native American, and they just want to fucking say that. They want to pretend like they're a Native American because it makes them feel extra oppressed. America doesn't have the best relationship when it comes to Hispanics, especially in the 2010s. I'm not going to deny that, but apparently for some reason these people want to feel like they're indigenous instead of, rightfully recognizing that a lot of their heritage comes from colonizers. You're not going to want to hear that, but again, the white heritage in Hispanics doesn't come from immigrants. It's from the conquistadors. I'm sorry, the entire country of Mexico. I'm sorry to tell you. And speaking of conquistadors, she just completely dismisses the language of Spanish because it came from Spain. What the fuck? I'm sorry. So she dismisses Spanish because it's the language of conquerors and it was forced upon them Native Americans. Number one, you're not a Native American. You are Spanish. You are more Spanish than you are Native American, statistically speaking, okay? Maybe she is more Native American. Maybe she is an Indian. I don't know. But you are presenting this as a show that's supposed to represent Mexicans. So it should be faithful to Mexican culture, and you should probably give a shit about Mexican culture instead of LARPing as a Native American, which most of the Mexicans watching probably aren't. Okay? So you don't care about Spanish, which, like, if you're going to complain about the conquest of Latin America, which is understandable, why would you complain about them bringing Spanish? Like, do you understand how retarded that is? Like, really? So, before the Spaniards came, there were like 1,000 different fucking languages which Native Americans spoke, and now everyone in that continent mostly speaks the same language and they can probably understand each other. And also, Spanish is just a pretty language. Why are you complaining about that? You know, just because just because Spanish was brought to Latin America because of the conquistadors does not mean that that is a bad thing. Good things were brought to Latin America with colonization. Just because most of it was bad doesn't mean that you have to, like, renounce Spanish heritage or the Spanish language. That's just retarded. And it clearly shows that this person doesn't give a shit about Mexico or Mexican culture. It's said in fucking California, number one, she doesn't give a shit about Spanish or Spanish heritage and culture, and LARPs as a Native American, which, again, statistically speaking, most Mexicans are not. So you don't give a shit about Mexicans or Latin Americans. You just want to, like, you know, pretend, just act, get some brownie points because you're representing lay oppressed brown people instead of actually representing a nation and culture. So that just makes me fucking angry. This level of fucking just, like, stupidity and delusion that you see from, like, Californians. California. It's so bad because this person, it just reeks of, like, liberal California big city brownie point shit, and I hate it so much. I am not gonna watch this show, even if none of the shit that I just complained about came about. The show just looks mediocre. So that is what it is. And with this, like, stupid, like, virtue signaling bullshit, it makes me not even want to see it even more. I'm not going to watch it. I don't have Disney Plus, and even if I did, there are so many more good things to watch on there than fucking Oye Primos. Some fucking Latinx show, okay? Why? I could watch the Pixar catalog, the Disney catalog. I could watch fucking Phineas and Ferb. I want to watch Phineas and Ferb. That shit's fire. So, yeah, this show looks like total ass, and I would recommend you not watch it. Don't hate watch it. This is probably just going to go in the dustbins of history when it comes to animation and just Disney, I guess. You know, Disney has made things that I heard have been good that represent Hispanics. You know, you have that Encanto show, or I think it's a movie, Encanto. This one, Day of the Dead, I think, inspired movie. I've heard mostly positive things about that. So if you want to watch some shit that represents Hispanics and you're a big Disney fan, just go watch 2 of those fucking things. Okay? It's Coco. The movie is called Coco. The movie about Day of the Dead is Coco. He plays guitar. He's a Mexican, and he plays. You watch those. They do it 1,000 times better, and they don't look like total dog shit. So that's all I have to say. Don't watch the show. It's shit. That's it. That's all I have to say.